Joe Biden supporter Cindy McCain blasts Arizona Republicans for supporting an audit of the 2020 elections. Senator Susan Collins comes to the defense of both Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney. Plus, Caitlyn Jenner gets called out by the far left for supporting girls' sports. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in, especially those with Right Side Broadcasting. Thank you so much for checking out the 13-minute news hour. We're going to start with Cindy McCain. She is the widow of former presidential candidate, former Senator John McCain, and she is blasting Arizona Republicans for supporting an audit of the 2020 election. Now, check this out. The election is done, but we're not at 2022 yet. So now is the perfect time to analyze the election, to see what went wrong, what went right, what can we learn, what can we do better, how many dead people voted, how many illegal people voted, how many people voted more than once. These are the questions that every state should ask after every election. Yet the Democrats are having a meltdown, trying to stop it, suing to stop it. And Cindy McCain, she's more than happy to just jump right in. Now recall, she openly supported Joe Biden. Here are some of her comments from back in October.
I don't agree with Joe on everything. I believe that Joe will work in a bipartisan fashion, though, to reach common ground and work on issues that are important for us. And more importantly, I mean, a large part of this is the fact that Joe has a COVID plan. Unlike the White House and the rest of the members, he believes it's real. He believes and talks to the scientists involved.
All right, let's stop there and review a couple things, because she said Joe Biden would work in a bipartisan fashion to reach common ground. Are you kidding me? Look at what he's actually doing. He has gone so far to the left on taxes, on spending, on immigration, on DC statehood, on packing the Supreme Court, none of which he is seeking bipartisan support. He is going it alone, and he doesn't care. That's what's going on. And then, as far as a coronavirus plan, are you kidding me? The plan that's being implemented now was Trump's plan. Maybe she wasn't briefed on Operation Warp Speed. Vaccines were being delivered before Joe Biden ever took the oath of office. But then Cindy McCain adds that Trump didn't have America's back.
We've left our allies behind. We've left we've withdrawn from treaties, et cetera. Our country is not well respected overseas either in all of this.
So just a question here. Looking at Joe Biden and his statements and his actions, and the statements and actions of leaders in places like China and Russia and Iran, look at this. Do you think they really respect Joe Biden? And thus, do you really think now that they respect the United States of America? Think about that one as we go on to what Cindy McCain is doing now, blasting Arizona Republicans for this audit. And here's the story. The whole thing is ludicrous, she told CNN's State of the Union. The election is over. Biden won. I know many don't like the outcome, but elections have consequences. Republicans in Maricopa County, Arizona, are currently auditing ballots, tabulation machines, and voter information. Democrats attempted to stop the audit by suing, but a judge allowed the tabulation and review to continue last week. I just don't get it. And again, this is coming from someone who says she is still a Republican. So my question is, what Republican things did she think, or does she think, Joe Biden will actually do? Cut taxes? Cut regulations? Maybe increase border security? Maybe fight for conservative judges? Maybe fight to defend the lives of the unborn? What Republican things, what conservative things does she think Joe Biden will do? And any of those who said, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden instead, even though I'm a Republican. In the meantime, she's fighting a process that could lead to better elections in the future. Great move. All right, next, let's talk about Susan Collins. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. All right, let's talk about Senator Susan Collins, because she has come to the defense of Liz Cheney, and her comments, it just shows the divide within the Republican Party. And it's not some liberal versus conservative thing. It's not ideological. It is this group of people that go to Washington and do not fight for conservative principles. They just roll over. They become part of the ruling elite, and they expect all of us to just fall in line. What we are looking for are people who will actually fight for conservative principles and get this enacted into law. That's why we elected them. In the meantime, Liz Cheney continues to bash Republicans, people that are standing up for the Constitution, standing up for fairness and election integrity. She's blasting them, and Susan Collins just jumps right in and defends her. Susan Collins was on CNN, of course, talking to Jake Tapper. He asked about Liz Cheney, and here's what Collins said.
Liz Cheney is a woman of strength and conscience, and she did what she felt was right, and I salute her for that. We need to be accepting of differences in our party. We don't want to become like too much of the Democratic Party, which has been taken over by the progressive left.
All right, first, this comparison with what Liz Cheney is doing and what the Democrats are doing is totally bogus. It doesn't make any sense. The Democrats are being pushed to the radical left, an extreme radical agenda. In the Republican Party, all we're asking for is for people to fight for conservative principles, to actually do what you are elected to do. And it really calls into judgment both Liz Cheney keeping her leadership position when she is blasting people, saying she's following the Constitution, when she's blasting people who followed the Constitution. And what does that say about Susan Collins defending someone like that? And I tell you what, folks, it is boiling over. The frustration is boiling over. This weekend in Utah, they had their Republican state convention. Here was the reception that Mitt Romney received.
And I don't hide the fact that I wasn't a fan of our last president's character issues. And I'm also no fan. Please, thank you, show respect.
So that's Romney's reception at the Utah State Convention. Jake Tapper asked Susan Collins about that too. Here's her reaction.
I was appalled. Mitt Romney is an outstanding senator who serves his state and our country well.
Are you kidding me? Mitt Romney is not an outstanding senator. If you recall, during the first impeachment trial, the one that was a bogus sham about a Ukraine phone call, Mitt Romney actually voted to convict the president. Everybody knew it was a sham. Everybody knew that this was a bogus waste of time. Yet Mitt Romney, he put personal opinions and a personal grudge ahead of the Constitution. And then we have Susan Collins out there supporting people like Mitt Romney and Liz Cheney. That's why people are fed up. All right, so next let's talk about Caitlyn Jenner, who, as you know, used to be Olympic champion Bruce Jenner. Well, Jenner is taking heat from the far left for supporting women's sports. Now, this whole transgender push from the far left to get boys being able to compete against girls in girls' sports is absolutely outrageous, folks. They think because a boy or a man thinks he's a girl or acts like a girl that it's okay to compete in these sports. Well, guess what? Thoughts and feelings do not trump biology. Well, Jenner was asked about this issue, and the response was not what the left was looking for. Caitlyn Jenner, one of the most famous transgender people, said Saturday that biological boys should not be allowed to compete in women's sports. Jenner commented on the controversial issues about 1 week after announcing she was running for governor of California. Jenner is seeking the office as a Republican in a special election that was triggered after activists gathered more than 2 million signatures to recall Governor Gavin Newsom. So why would Jenner, who is transgender, be opposed to transgender girls, aka boys, being in girls' sports? Well, the reason Jenner used is something that the left always uses. In fact, they lump it right in there with diversity and inclusion and tolerance. And what is that? fairness. And here's more. This is a question of fairness. Jenner, who won the gold medal for the men's decathlon at the 1976 Olympics, said, "That's why I oppose biological boys who are trans competing in girls' sports in school. It just isn't fair, and we have to protect girls' sports in our schools," Jenner added. So, what do you think the reaction was from the tolerant left? Here's an example. "You are such a traitor, Caitlyn Jenner. So, we need to protect girls' sports from other girls now? And fairness? Don't you know how testosterone blockers work?" Correction, we aren't talking about other girls. We are talking about biological males. Here's another example. "There is substantial evidence that there is absolutely zero advantage, and even if there were, it's pretty clear athletes in school programs are there to socialize and not be the most competitive in their field." What I love about that tweet is that someone replied with actual data, actual research and studies which show the obvious. Biological males have a big advantage regardless if they're taking chemicals or not. But here's the main thing to take out of this story is that the left does not care about people. They care about chaos and control. And this transgender movement, they see as both to gain more control, to promote chaos, destroy the fabric of America. They don't care about the people. Jenner is transgender, probably one of the most famous transgenders out there. They don't care about the person. If you deviate from the agenda, it doesn't matter who you are, you're cast out. All right, so next let's talk about Lubbock, Texas, because they have now become a sanctuary city. And no, not for illegal aliens. They have now voted to become a sanctuary city for the unborn. And here's the story. The city of Lubbock, Texas approved an ordinance banning abortion procedures within city limits and declaring itself a sanctuary city for the unborn Saturday. While not the first, Lubbock is now the largest city in the U.S. to approve such a measure, but it will likely face legal challenges from abortion advocates who argue the measure is unconstitutional. The move comes just months after Planned Parenthood opened its first clinic in the city, according to the Texas Tribune. What a move by the city of Lubbock. Planned Parenthood comes in, they vote to shut it down. And this issue, folks, it's just, I bring this up because it is so important to me, especially now that we have Joe Biden in office and the media are trying to hype him up. During the inauguration, one commentator called him America's pastor or pastor in chief. Yet at every turn, he supports the pro-abortion movement. Abortion on demand for any circumstance at any time. That's Joe Biden's position. So it gives me hope when we see cities like Lubbock, Texas, moving into action. And here's more. Lubbock residents backed the measure with 62% of the vote on Saturday, joining dozens of other Texas cities that have already passed similar ordinances. Lubbock is the first of these cities to make a declaration while already having an abortion clinic within its limits. The American Civil Liberties Union of Texas has made known its opposition to pro-life sanctuary cities, having sued 7 local governments in the past. ACLU has a long history of challenging unconstitutional abortion bans and will continue to fight to protect the fundamental rights of the people of Lubbock, the organization said in a Saturday statement. So we'll see what happens, and I'll definitely keep you posted on this issue. Folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. For all of those at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.